The night of January 5th, 2021, seemed like any other winter evening in Washington, D.C. The streets were cold and still. Most people had no idea that someone was quietly placing 2 pipe bombs outside the headquarters of the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee. A hooded figure walked down the sidewalk, set down the bags, and slipped away. The devices never exploded, but the threat was real. And for almost 5 years, no one knew who did it. Yesterday, prosecutors and FBI officials finally announced an arrest. They named the suspect as Brian Cole Jr., the man they believe built and planted the bombs. He is expected in federal court in Washington, D.C. on Friday. Officials made it clear that the investigation is not over. They are still executing search warrants and reviewing evidence. Even with the arrest, the case isn't fully closed. How did investigators finally get here? And why did it take so long? At first, the case felt impossible to crack. The bombs were made from simple, widely available hardware store items: steel pipes, metal end caps, wires, batteries, timers. Millions of people buy these parts for innocent reasons. Nothing about them pointed to one specific person. Investigators tried tracing the components, but it was like searching for a single grain of sand in a desert. The suspect captured on security cameras didn't offer much help. The person wore a hood, a mask, gloves, and moved with caution. You couldn't see a face. You couldn't guess an identity. It was one of the biggest challenges of the entire investigation. Years passed. No confession. No tip that broke the case open. The footage didn't reveal enough. The evidence felt scattered, incomplete, almost impossible to connect. But investigators did not stop. In 2025, they began revisiting old data using new tools and methods. They examined purchase histories, receipts, and debit card transactions from hardware stores. They went back through thousands of records that might have seemed insignificant years earlier. That slow, steady process eventually revealed that Brian Cole Jr. had bought items identical to the bomb components between 2019 and 2020. Pipes, end caps, electrical wiring, battery connectors, timers, even protective glasses and cleaning wipes. On its own, this still wasn't enough. Lots of people buy those things. But then investigators expanded their analysis. They reviewed cell phone data from the night of January 5th, 2021. They found that Cole's phone connected to cell towers in the areas near the RNC and DNC buildings around the same time the bombs were placed. On top of that, license plate readers captured Cole's car driving near both locations that same evening. The timestamps matched key moments in the footage of the bomber walking around. Piece by piece, the separate clues started fitting together. Purchase records, phone data, car movements, surveillance timing. None of it was dramatic, but each detail strengthened the case. Over time, the pattern became too consistent to ignore. Why did it take almost 5 years? Because none of these clues screamed the suspect's name on their own. Investigators had to connect thousands of tiny threads from multiple years and multiple data sources. And because the bombs were placed at the headquarters of both major political parties, prosecutors wanted a case strong enough to withstand massive public scrutiny. They needed every detail to be airtight. Even with the arrest, major questions remain. Investigators have not said why the bombs were planted. They have not suggested a motive. They have not explained whether they believe the suspect acted alone or whether others were involved. They have not clarified whether the bombs were meant as a distraction, a message, or something else entirely. Cole's background also raises questions. He lived quietly in Virginia, working at a bail bonds office. No public history of political extremism. No clear connection to the events of January 6th. If he is the bomber, what drove him to do it? Why target both parties? What was the intended outcome? These are the pieces still missing. The investigation is active, and more details may surface as prosecutors build their case. For now, the public only knows part of the story. The arrest took years, not because investigators were ignoring the case, but because the evidence was scattered across thousands of digital traces that had to be stitched together slowly and carefully. The truth is still unfolding. The motives are still unknown. The case remains partly unresolved, and the unanswered questions continue to hover over everything that has been revealed. If you want to follow the updates as the case develops, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Tap the like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next video.